Your iPhone's control panel has always been the fastest and easiest way to access your frequently used settings and utilities. But with iOS 18, Apple took the training wheels off the control panel, giving us tons of new features and customizations. Want to know how to set yours up properly? Stick around, I got you covered. I'm Dylan Stewart, the Mac Whisperer, and in today's video, we're going to take a deep dive into the iOS 18 control panel, learning how to properly customize it and set it up so that it's perfect for you. Make sure to stick around for my MacWhisperer Power Tip, where I reveal the tools I use in the control panel every day to save me tons of time. Before we hop straight over to the phone, let's pause for a short Apple history lesson. Apple released the iOS 7 update back in 2013. It was one of the most controversial updates they had ever released and caused many people to be afraid of updating their phone ever since. Sound a little bit like iOS 18? Yeah, I thought so too. In iOS 7, they first announced the control panel. It gave you access to some of your most used settings like Wi-Fi mode or airplane mode. It allowed you to adjust the volume and open your flashlight, as well as a few other tools. Control Panel got a major upgrade when Apple released iOS 10 in 2016. Now they gave us 3 separate Control Panel screens. One for your settings and utilities, one for your music, and one for any smart home devices that you had. But the Control Panel fully came into its own when iOS 11 was released 1 year later. In that update, the Control Panel became a full-screen overlay that looks just like this. It gave you the ability to add a few controls or remove or reorganize controls. These were powerful tools, but it would take 7 years and the iOS 18 release for the Control Panel to gain true customization. Before we jump straight over to the current version of the Control Panel, let's take a small trip down memory lane and look at how the Control Panel functioned with iOS 17. Here we still access it by pulling down from the upper right corner of your screen. You're going to see that it has a handful of standard applications. You've got some network tools, you've got some media tools, and a couple of basic utilities and apps. If you wanted to change them, you had to swipe out of your control panel and go into settings. From here, you had to scroll down into the Control Center section that we see right here. Here you could use the minus button up at the top to remove certain apps, or the plus button down below to add a handful of other apps into your control panel. But that was kind of all you could do. But with the release of iOS 18, the control panel finally is fully customizable, giving you the ability to add apps, remove apps, resize them. It gives you multiple screens and so much more. You still access the control panel in the exact same way, by pulling down from the upper right-hand corner of your screen. If you still have a phone with a home button, you'll pull up from the bottom of your screen instead. And when I pull down from the upper right-hand corner of my screen, I'm greeted by a control panel that looks almost exactly like the one from a year ago. But that's where the similarities end, because we can completely alter, change, edit, and reorganize this control panel. But before we start changing it around, let's just take a moment and talk about why the control panel is important and some of the common tools that you're going to see. The control panel is a great tool because you can access it from anywhere on your phone with just a single swipe from the upper right-hand corner. It gives you access to frequent settings like airplane mode or Wi-Fi, like AirDrop, or your media controls, allowing you to play, pause, and rewind the music or the videos that you're watching. The nice thing about the control panel is that you can access it from wherever you are on your phone, whether you're on the home screen, a simple swipe from the top right brings it up, or whether you're inside of an app like Photos. Again, a simple swipe from the top brings it up. There are several common tools that show up as a default. In the upper left-hand corner, we've got the Settings quadrant. Here you can turn on or off your airplane mode by simply tapping the airplane icon here, or turn on and off Wi-Fi or your AirDrop. But if you press and hold in the center of this control panel, it expands out into a larger screen, giving you even more control. The ability to change to a specific Wi-Fi signal, the ability to turn on or off AirDrop or Bluetooth or adjust your cellular data, or even activate a hotspot or VPN, all exists within this larger overlay. To exit this overlay, click in the open space anywhere on the screen. In the upper right-hand corner, we've got media playback controls. From here, we can play, rewind, fast forward, or even change where the music or video is playing by clicking in the AirPlay icon in the upper right-hand corner. Again, like the settings quadrant, if you press and hold on this section, it expands into a larger full-screen view that gives you additional control and options. Clicking anywhere in the open space will get you back to your main control panel. On the left-hand side, we see the rotation lock controls. This can allow you to stop your phone from rotating when you turn it from vertical to horizontal, or allow you to rotate it. If you're having trouble when you turn your phone and things aren't moving, it might be because the rotation lock has been turned on. When it's red, it's on. When it's white, it's off. To the right of that, we've got our screen mirroring controls. These are really helpful for sharing your phone's screen and content to a TV or another Apple device. Below that, we've got our focus modes. This allows you to turn on or off Do Not Disturb. If you click on the little icon in the left corner here, it'll turn it off or on. But if you press and hold on the bar right here, it pops up an additional screen, giving you even more control. Clicking in the open space will remove it. To the right of that, we've got our brightness controls, which you can easily tug down or up to change the brightness. But if you press and hold on the brightness controls, you get the options to activate dark mode, night shift, or true tone. To the right of that, we've got our volume controls, and on the bottom row, we've got some frequently used utilities: your flashlight, your timer, your calculator, and your camera. So that's the standard look for most people's control panels, but we can change it. So now let's talk about some of the tools we have for editing the control panel. To edit your control panel, press and hold in the open space until you get into the edit screen, which looks like this. Here you'll see a minus button in the upper left-hand corner that you can use to remove any apps that you aren't using on your control panel. If you don't really like the timer being here, just press the little minus button and it will disappear. You can also use the little handle in the lower right-hand corner of each app to make it larger or smaller. Pressing and holding on any app will allow you to move it from its current position to anywhere else on the screen. As you move apps, things will shift around in order to fill the open space. Take your time, press and hold, find the place that you want the new app to be, and just move it there. Don't forget the handle, which can allow you to resize any app to make it easier to find. But in addition to deleting apps, moving them and resizing them, you can also add new apps. By clicking the Add a Control button at the bottom of the edit screen, it pulls up a toolbox filled with all sorts of controls that you can add to your control panel. And there's a ton of amazing ones here. When I get to my MacWhisperer Power Tip, I'm going to tell you which ones I use on a regular basis. As we scroll through the toolbox, you'll see that they've collected these controls in separate sections. If you want to add something, all you have to do is click on that tool and it will get added to your control panel. From there, you can resize it, move it, or delete it. Coming back into the control panel, as we continue to scroll down, you'll find other sections like the connectivity section that gives you all of your settings tools, or the display and brightness section, focus sections, or your home section. There's a ton of tools inside of this control panel, but you don't have to scroll endlessly to find them, because up at the top we've got a search bar where you can search for any kind of tool, like music, to find what kind of options you've got. You can click the X in the upper right-hand corner to clear that search and search for another app like Notes, giving you a ton of powerful tools without having to scroll endlessly in order to find them. But the control panel got an additional tool with iOS 18, which is the ability to have multiple control panel screens. If you look over to the far right side of your control panel, you're going to see at least 3 different icons. The heart icon is your favorite customized control panel. Underneath that, we've got the music screen, which allows you easy access to all of your playback controls. And underneath that, we've got a full settings screen giving you complete customization of your Wi-Fi, your cellular, your Bluetooth, and more. Each of these separate control panel screens is pre-configured for you to make it easy to get to certain things like your settings or your music. But you can add your own control panel screens by simply pressing and holding, swiping all the way down until you get into an open screen, and creating a control panel with anything you want. A little power tip: if you create a control panel screen with similar apps, it will give you a fresh icon on the right-hand side. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to click Add a Control here, and I'm going to scroll down until I get into the Home section. I have a ton of smart home devices, so it's great for me to add them to a control panel screen. Let's click on this quadrant right here, which is going to add a large section allowing me to use multiple devices and make it as large or as small as I want it to be. I can also add individual home controls by pressing the Add Control button again, heading back to the Home section, and selecting either the Home app itself or the ability to control a specific smart device. Let's click on Scene or Accessory, and let's choose which device we want to add. I'll click the Choose button, and we'll scroll down until I get to my thermostat right here. Then click in the open space, and it will save that control panel, giving me easy access to my smart thermostat. I can resize it, making it smaller or larger in order to make it easy for me to click one button and make it a little warmer or colder inside my house. Notice on the far right side, our brand new control panel screen has an icon of the Home app. This is because the apps on the screen are all Home app dedicated apps, allowing us to have the icon on the right-hand side. If you don't like some of your control panel screens, you can still customize, resize, and edit them. For example, in the music section, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller, and I'm going to click the Add a Control button to add an additional music control in here so that I can easily identify any music I hear with the Shazam app. Let's make that a little bit bigger, and we're ready to go. But that's not the only thing that you can do with these control panel screens, because having multiple screens can be a little overwhelming, and it can cause another problem. When you're first getting used to this new control panel and you pull down from the upper right-hand corner, sometimes you'll pull down a little bit too hard on that control panel screen and accidentally end up on one of the later screens instead of the favorite screen you intended to get to. As you get used to having multiple screens, you'll learn that pulling down from the upper right-hand corner should be done gently so that you just get to the first screen rather than accidentally bumping yourself into one of the later screens. But it's easy to fix that if you don't like these additional screens. Simply come back into your edit mode, go to the screen that you don't like, and click the minus buttons to clear everything off. Once you've cleared all of the apps out of one screen, the screen will disappear, which means that if you don't like having a full screen for settings, and you don't really need the full screen for music, I mean, let's be clear, settings are already in the upper left-hand corner and media playbacks are on the right-hand corner, you can come to these screens and just clear everything off so that you are left with just one control panel screen, and it's easier to manage. You've got a ton of controls, whether it's removing apps, adding apps, reorganizing them, adding additional screens, or clearing things up so that you've only got the one main control panel screen that you use the most. However you set up your control panel, make sure that the tools that you're using on a regular basis are right there so that you can access that application or change that setting without slowing yourself down at all. So as you can see, the control panel is chock full of all sorts of new options, tools, and utilities to make everything you do easier. In just a moment, I'm going to reveal the top control panel apps that I use every day to save me time. But before I do, if you've already learned something new or gotten great value from this video, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up. That goes a long way and makes it so much easier for other people to find this video. And if you've got a question, a comment, you want to tell me about a specific control panel that you love or a way that you're using the control panel, drop it into the comments section. I absolutely love to hear from you guys. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, it's time to make that commitment to use your Apple devices more effectively and intentionally. Just pull down on your control panel screen, hit that subscribe button and that notify bell, and you'll always be alerted whenever I drop new content. So with that being said, for all of you control freaks out there, you've waited long enough. It's time for the Power Tip. With all of these new options and controls that you can add to your control panel, it's easy to get overwhelmed and maybe add things you don't need. So I'm going to share some of the tools that I use every day and that I recommend you setting up on your control panel. And we're going to start right here with the magnifier. Go ahead and click on it to add it to your control panel. What's the magnifier for? Well, if you've ever found yourself in a restaurant squinting at the menu and using your iPhone's flashlight to make it easier to see, you should consider using the magnifier instead. When you open up the magnifier, it opens up your camera and gives you the ability to zoom in or out on the camera and add a flashlight by clicking on this button right here. This can make it so much easier for you to see that menu in that dark restaurant. And it's done just by adding that control panel right in here. In addition to the magnifier, I strongly recommend adding the low power mode control. You'll find that on the left side right here, and you can click on it to easily add it. Low power mode is great for anyone who's running out of battery on their iPhone regularly or finds themselves away from a charger and just needing an extra boost. By simply clicking on the low power mode tool, it will change your settings and make it so that your phone uses about 30% less battery. Super helpful and super easy to get to from the control panel. If you use ChatGPT, I strongly recommend at least adding the ChatGPT app that we see on the left here. But if you're a pro ChatGPT user, I recommend adding this tool, which will allow you to immediately start a voice conversation with ChatGPT. Scrolling down, we've got our clock controls. I use the timer all the time, but if you use the alarm or the stopwatch, you should add those in addition to the timer or instead of the timer. Scrolling down to the connectivity section, I strongly recommend turning on the personal hotspot tool if you use your phone as a hotspot. It can also be helpful to activate the VPN tool if you use a VPN frequently. And if you have home devices, just add them. You'll thank me for it later. Continuing to scroll down, if you are commonly looking for a tape measurer and looking for ways to measure your wall, your garden, the dimensions of a box you want to ship, you can add the measure tool, which will make it simple for you to measure any object. And if you frequently hang pictures and want to make sure they're hung straight, you might want to add the level. If you love notes, and y'all know I love notes, you should add either the notes setting or the quick note setting. The quick note setting makes it really easy to add a note from any app you're in, while the standards note tool will open up a brand new note quickly and easily. And scrolling down just a little further, we've got the remote. If you've got an Apple TV, you know the frustration of losing that tiny little remote. Suddenly you can't pause or play what you're watching. You can't even adjust the volume or change the channel. But if you add the remote setting to your control panel, you can control your Apple TV right from your control panel, and you'll never need to hunt for that remote ever again. Let's hop back into the control toolbox. Keep scrolling until you get to the shortcuts section right here. And here you can either add your favorite shortcuts or the Open App button to activate any application on your phone. Tap on the Open App setting, choose the app that you'd like to open, click on it, and click in the open space to give yourself instant access to any application. And for the last tool, we'll come back into the toolbox and come almost all the way down to the bottom here, where we find the Watch section. If you've got an Apple Watch, you know how nice it is that you can click one button on your watch to ping your phone wherever it is. But by adding this little setting right here, you can do it the other way and ping your watch from your phone. A simple click, add it to the control panel, and you're ready to rock and roll. As you scroll through these settings, keep your eyes open for things that you use frequently and make it easier to get to them. Whether it's something as simple as airplane mode, or your Shazam tool, or any of the utilities that people frequently use on their phones. The control panel is flexible, customizable, and you can change it at will. So make sure that it's always set up the way you need it to get in and out of your tasks quickly. So that's what we've got for today's video, all about how to use and set up your iOS 18 control panel. I hope you learned a ton, but remember, there's always more to learn. Check out this video right here for even more amazing tips and tricks on how to use your Apple devices properly. I'm Dylan Stewart, the Mac Whisperer, and I'll see you in the comments.